welcome to the show, ToyLines.com podcast. I'm your host, Tom Romero, and joined with me today is Ian Westhoff. How you
Hello,
doing,
everybody?
Ian?
Good, Tommy. How you doing?
All right, thanks. So, why are we doing this podcast, Ian? Everybody wants to know why they should tune in. I mean, we both love toys. We're just so passionate about it. We got our blogs going on toylines.com.
Right.
So why do you love toys, Ian? Why should people listen to us?
Why do I love toys? I guess it's part nostalgia. It brings you back to when you were a kid. Just when times were simpler, especially in our crazy days we're having now. Just going to the toy store with your parents and getting that new toy and getting into a new toy line. Something really cool.
Rest in peace, Toys R Us.
Yeah, Child's World, KB Toys. Just
Panda World.
Yeah, there's not even a toy store left. It's just Target and Walmart. And it's mostly just good memories. I guess it's something we never outgrew. We just still like them. You don't play with them. You collect them, and it's in a way a work of art. So why podcasts? To discuss it. There's I feel there's like-minded people out there, and maybe they'll like what we have to say.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I want people to listen to us and think about the toys, that maybe, we can have a common thread, get people to, besides us to discuss toys with us and,
what
try to have fun with it.
What was their favorite toy? Everybody has a favorite toy line. It's could be something that was so obscure that didn't even last, and it's not even just from the 80s. Like for us, it could have been from the 90s. It could have been from a movie that bombed, but the toy line was so cool. So it's even today there's new toys coming out based on old toys, new toys based on new toys. It's just the toy world is still going. We just have to look elsewhere to find them.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite toys, Tom?
I love He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Since I was a wee child.
Well, wee lad. No, let me ask you this. So, I do like He-Man. I had the toys when I was a kid, and you'll know I have to ask you many questions most of the time because I forget a lot about He-Man. But I am sort of falling into it now, kind of getting more into He-Man. Let me ask you, now my question is, for He-Man fans, do you refer to it as He-Man or Masters of the Universe? What's the proper term? What's the proper name for it? Because I always just call
a great
He-Man.
question.
Yeah, I just say He-Man, so I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people I've spoken with, especially going to PowerCon and stuff like that, everyone just refers it to as He-Man. Okay. I know some people at Mattel refer to it as Motu or Motu Classics, but yeah, I mean, I always refer to it as He-Man.
That's cool.
Yeah, I still have my very first vintage He-Man straight from Christmas of 82, 81. I'll never stop loving He-Man.
Those are toys.
And I want to talk about them. That's why we're doing this, because I want to discuss He-Man. I want to come up with ideas that maybe no one else has thought of, or just
not your He-Man. These are things you're never gonna get rid of. This is something you would always keep. You got to keep one toy line. He-Man is one you're keeping.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so not only do you have your vintage toy, I know you collect some of the modern stuff depending on what it is, and it gets expensive.
Oh, classics,
right?
Classics to me is the perfect toy line ever.
And you're
created by the Four Horsemen, super detailed.
So just for those who are not He-Man fans, Classics is not like a vintage line. It's called He-Man
No.
Classics.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, Classics started the whole
Reemergence.
reinterpretation
Right.
well, it's a reinterpretation of the vintage line.
Okay.
So 2008, brand manager Scott Knightlick decided he wanted to redo He-Man. Four Horsemen had the same idea, a super detailed, super articulated action figure that just raised the bar for today's standards of action figures. Now, the Four Horsemen started off at McFarlane Toys doing hyper detailed action figures. I mean, let's face it, back then around McFarlane's era, they were just highly detailed statues. They didn't really have that much articulation.
Right. Toys were never detailed until or as detailed until these guys came along. I'm kind of remembering
until the McFarlane era, 94.
And these are the guys that you can imagine. Four Horsemen. These are the guys you can. They're perfect for He-Man. You could see them sculpting a Lord of the Rings or a Norse mythology. They just kind of have that in their blood.
Yeah, they've done everything.
So yeah, they're very talented.
And and the important thing is that they were fans first.
Okay, that's cool.
They loved He-Man so much that, I mean, Scott had his idea, as I understand it. Scott had his idea to relaunch the line, and the Four Horsemen had their idea to relaunch the line. So it was just a merging of the minds, and it created one, if not the greatest toy lines ever. I mean, everyone saw that roadmap for Classics, and now look what it's spawned. You have Thundercats Classics. You have Power Rangers Lightning Collection. I mean, they're taking every incarnation of that brand and putting it all into one toy line. That's incredible to me.
Would you say like the Star Wars Black figures are sort of like that?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Those that
exactly.
are
6-inch, fully articulated. Yeah.
So
yeah, and before that, nothing. So I truly believe it all started with Masters of the Universe Classics.
So now, besides the toys, do you collect anything else with He-Man? Will you buy certain things here or there, merchandise-wise?
It depends.
It catches your fancy.
I have the original Funko Pops that they came out with.
Okay.
Anything Prince Adam, I like. I know Mega Bloks. I'm not really a big Mega Bloks guy, but I do have a He-Man and Prince Adam figure from Mega Bloks. I have all the books, all the comics. So yeah, I mean, things like that.
I know you have
obviously
a very rare figure in your collection. Rare because it's only one of a kind. It's a custom figure.
my Joe Amaro Joe Amato, excuse me. He also does work with the Horsemen. He custom made the most powerful groom in the universe, He-Man.
That's cool.
It's basically He-Man in a tux, ready to walk down the aisle. So that was a great gift.
There's one other one that I'm thinking of that was made out of the vintage figures, and it's kind of like He-Man with a different arm, if you remember.
Yeah.
So
a good buddy of mine. A good buddy of mine gave that to me. That's Power Arm He-Man with a screw in his shoulder.
Yeah. So what happened was that I had that figure when I was a kid, and He-Man's arm broke off. So I had figure He-Man, and I had my dad. I was like, Dad, can you fix this? Like all dads do. They do whatever, and he took Faker's arm, he screwed it in, and that was my toy. So years
That
later,
was awesome.
when I met Tommy, I was like, Tommy, this is one of a kind. So he has the He-Man with I don't know if it's a left or right arm, but it's got figure He-Man's arm on it. So
It's right.
it's the right
it's
arm.
a right arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's a little little piece there.
Yeah.
So
talk to me about your love of Disney and the Rocketeer.
well, Disney goes way back for me. It wasn't just it was kind of like I never went to Disney until I was 14. I remember the Disney Channel when it first came out, and you had to pay for it. It wasn't part of your cable package. I remember my dad canceling it. Me and my sister were like, I got into my first trip to Disney World when I was 14, and for some reason it just like hit me. Disney has become much more because that's where I met my wife. We're working at the Disney store. We hit it off while working there, dated. Always went to Disney World and proposed to her in Disney World, honeymooned in Disney World. It's just what we love. Disney's
That's where you proposed too, right?
yeah, it was at an event called Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. So it was they closed the park, get everybody out. It's all about this Halloween party, which is a great Halloween party. It's not like they say, it's not so scary. And it's right at sunset, so it was by Cinderella's Castle by the Wishing Well, and I wrote this nice little story. And it's just been our thing, you know. To this day, it is just, you know, we collect it. You know, we collect things Disney, which leads into the Rocketeer. The first time I heard of the Rocketeer was because of Disney when they put the movie out, but that was back in like the 90s, and back then there was this great magazine called Comic Scene, and that's how I heard about the comic. And then back then I was like, I'm gonna read this comic one day. So that's, and I know a lot of people compare the comic to the movie. I think it's a great movie. A little different than the comic, of course. You know, first off with like Jenny and Betty, you know, why they had to go in a different route with the girlfriend. The creator of the Rocket Pack, of course, in the movies, Howard Hughes. In the comics, it's pulp hero Doc Savage. Second part of the comic, there's the pulp hero, the Shadows in it. But I like that era, that 1930s era, which kind of brings me into my other like really my obsession from childhood, my hero, Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Last Crusade. Just to watch those forever. One of my favorite toy lines is the Raiders of the Lost Ark toy line from Kenner, which is a completely different toy line from their Star Wars line, which I really don't get. But there's not much out there. They didn't make a lot. The only thing I have left is the 12-inch Kenner doll of Indiana Jones. He's missing his hat. The hat was a piece of felt, and it was terribly made. But he's got the coat, the gun, the whip. Not in the box, but I got it for Christmas one year. And that's like
nice.
my senior year of high school. I got it from my sister, and I always wanted it, and I have it to this day. It's such a cool toy. So yeah, Indiana Jones is just one of the things I want to talk about in some of our podcasts, as well as like the Rocketeer. Indiana Jones merchandise is few and far between. However, with Disney owning Lucasfilm and having Indiana Jones in different parts of their parks, California has the ride, Florida has the stunt show. There is new merchandise. Not always toys, but they have stuff. I feel like Indiana Jones is really due for a good toy line. Hopefully one day.
It does have a movie coming up.
It does.
There is.
I think I got pushed back. At this point, I'm a little worried. The Harrison Ford is going to be quite old. and Spielberg, as far as I read, is not directing,
No.
which is kind of weird. So I mean, I guess it's fine because Kirshner directed Empire, and Marquand directed Jedi, and they were great movies. But Spielberg directed all four, so it's kind of like, will it feel like an Indiana Jones movie? Will they still do well, I guess you can't do the Paramount because Paramount probably won't be putting it out. I guess Disney Films will, so they might not do that. The logo dissolving into the Paramount sign, but I mean, we don't know yet. But there's still a new movie, probably 2021, 2022 at this point, but everything's being pushed back now, so who really knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way things are going now, I mean, McFarlane's doing all sorts of different licenses. He's got DC Comics. He's got Stranger Things.
Sure.
So, I mean, and look at NECA. NECA is always looking for new licenses. I mean, they have Defenders of the Earth coming out
That's
either
right.
this Christmas or early next year.
And that was based off a cartoon, wasn't it? Defenders of the Earth? That was the Phantom, Mandrake, and Flash Gordon, and
yep, Lothar, and the kids, their offspring. So, they're all going to duke it out with Ming the Merciless from NECA.
So, what do we have? Oh, go ahead.
This is, no, I'm just saying, this is all this stuff we're going to be talking about. I'm excited. I'm pumped. It's just another addition to our toylines.com website. So, stick with us. We're,
this
and later on, I want to give out our email address so you can, come join the chat with us.
And it's really this and more because, we're going to discuss Star Wars. Of course, we're going to discuss new toys, old toys, Remco Universal Monsters. I loved that as a kid. And let's face it, everything comes back to toys. Whether it's nowadays a TV show has a toy line, movie has a toy line. Everything goes back to toys. I don't think there's anything out there that does not have a toy. So
that's true.
That's
true. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We're in a golden age of toys right now.
Yeah, and if there's something something you, the listener, wants to hear about, let us know. We love talking toys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. All right. You want to jump into the news?
Yeah, let's go to the news. You want to?
Yeah, we'll make this quick. Okay. So, big story of today just released. Michael Keaton, the original Tim Burton Batman himself, is in talks with DC Comics to reprise the role of Batman for the new live-action Flash movie.
This is actually something I really like.
This is the way to go. Yeah, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would love to see a Batman Beyond movie.
He'd be great. Yeah, he can play the older Bruce. And, I always think back to the summer of '89. Not only did The Last Crusade come out, but Batman came out. I mean, you couldn't throw a rock without seeing a bat sign. And I just, to this day, I just love the way he looks in that suit. I love that Batmobile. And they're saying that he's going to be sort of a mentor to the Flash. And apparently, from what I read, appear in possibly other movies. So this is huge. Something you never thought you'd see again. I remember when Kevin Smith wrote the Superman Lives script for Tim Burton. His plan was to have a scene with Batman in it, and it would have been Michael Keaton. That obviously never came to happening. So this was just like out of the blue. He's the Vulture now, but he's going to be Batman too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I'm happy to see DC going in this direction. They're finally listening to things. I mean, granted, DC's done some interesting things that people wanted to see, but they messed it up somehow. But no, I'm happy to see this. This is the way it should. This is the way DC movies should be.
And it's cool.
Um,
It's cool that he's It's cool that he's considering it. Michael
Yeah.
Keaton. You know, like
definitely.
some people might just be done with that role, but no, Michael Keaton is considering the role. So that's actually really cool. So we'll have to wait
Yeah.
and see. But so far, you know, that's a great bit of nostalgia right there. Wow, Michael Keaton's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. What else we got?
Let's see here. Free Comic Book Day is coming back this summer. So hopefully all comic book stores are coming back bigger than before. So apparently the way it is, it'll be through July 15th through September 9th. Comic stores will have the opportunity to release 45 titles, all from Marvel, DC. Excuse me. Didn't mean to use the DC word with Diamond. From Marvel, Image, Dark Horse. So hopefully that's a good boost for comic book stores.
Yeah, they're hurting.
Support your local retailer.
Yeah, they're definitely
Support
hurting.
your local retailer. Let's see what else we got.
What else we got?
Finally, Pixel Dan Erdley's book, The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, has finally been solicited from Dark Horse Comics. So congratulations to Mr. Erdley and Val Staples of He-Man.org. I cannot wait for this book. This book is, if they do it correctly, which I'm sure they have, this is going to be the end of all books as far as He-Man goes.
I think publisher-wise, they were so smart to go with Dark Horse, and I really like the cover, especially with Castle Grayskull like that. Castle Grayskull on the top of it, and
vintage. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I guess at the bottom those are the different versions of He-Man throughout the years. This is a book that I like books that, when it comes to toys, that cover the history of a toy. And if this book does that, this is a book I'd like to have on my shelf, just to take down, to look at the pictures, to hear some facts. Those are the type of books that like you just keep going back to. Like Steve Sansweet Star Wars books. So when is this book coming out?
November.
Okay, so
November. Yep. That's gonna make a great Christmas gift for all you He-Man fans.
Yeah, and it's a hell of an accomplishment too, because getting a book done.
Him and Val went all over the country, all over the world. Yeah.
So congratulations.
Hopefully, we can get them, at least one of them, to interview with us real quick.
Yeah.
To promote the book. So they're always welcomed. And then now for all you Comic Gate Cyberfrog enthusiasts, fans out there, Ethan Van Sciver has announced that the Cyberfrog action figure will be solicited in September. And judging by this picture he tweeted online the other day, I can't wait for it. I love Cyberfrog. It's a great character.
Is this going to be
this action figure?
Is it going to be articulated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he said something like 20 points. Wow. He wants this. Yeah, he wants his toy line to be comparable to Marvel Legends. He said.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. There is talk that the Build-A-Figure will be his Cyberfrog's brother Salamandroid, and it's going to be huge.
Okay.
He also has supporting characters. There's going to be a statue line coming out as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. It'll be on Indiegogo. So he's doing everything himself. So good luck to Ethan.
Yeah.
Super 7 just opened up pre-orders for Conan the Barbarian, the Pose figure.
So actually, Tommy, what do you think?
You know that
Go ahead, buddy.
No, finish.
Say, are you a fan of Conan to begin with?
I love Conan.
Okay, so I remember seeing this.
He's no He-Man, but he's still up there.
I remember seeing Conan the Barbarian as a kid, and
Mhm.
kind of liking it. I'm going to be honest. I prefer the Lord of the Rings for my fantasy. Um,
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you about this. So this is it's just going to be Conan from the first movie, the toy that's coming out.
Yes.
Okay, so
Well, Super Seven's doing the. They already solicited the Conan from the first movie. This is the post Conan, and then I'm hoping, from what I saw last year at PowerCon, the Conan from Conan the Destroyer.
okay, so before I get to
There
that,
will be a third one. Okay.
for those who don't know, Conan was created by Robert E. Howard in the 1930s. Actually, believe it or not, he was a bunch of short stories and books. Robert E. Howard wrote a ton of stuff. He's also well known for creating Cult, the Conqueror, I believe is his name.
Yep.
Solomon Kane, which actually I like a lot. I'm a big Solomon Kane fan. He also created Red Sonja. I would say that's probably his other most popular character. I was looking, after I saw this figure, I was looking at Conan the Destroyer, which is the movie I remember more.
Right.
That movie had such a cast. It had Will Chamberlain. It had Grace Jones, of course. Grace Jones, very, very much a part of that movie. The actor Mako, or who played the voice of Apu, and
yes,
believe it or Pat Roach, who was in Raiders. He was the German mechanic who fights Indy under the plane. He was also General Kale in Willow. But believe it or not, I find this so interesting. The young, I think, was she a young princess in that movie? That he's helping. Yeah. That young blonde princess.
One from,
she's the sister from the Wonder Years.
That's what I was gonna say. Yep, Wonder Years.
I remember reading. I was like, that blew my mind. That's Olivia Diabo at a very young age.
Yeah.
So, do you think they'll ever make toys based on the other characters, or is it just going to be Conan?
Well, no. Their first line had Thusula Doom, which is Darth Vader's voice.
James Earl Jones.
Yes, thank you. So he was solicited. So there's Conan, Thusula Doom, Rexor, and Thorgrim.
Oh, okay.
From the very first Conan movie. And they all come with alternate heads, extra weapons. I mean, this is going to be a great line.
I do wonder if they make it to the Destroyer, would they do Red Sonja? Because didn't Conan appear in that movie as well? Schwarzenegger?
He wasn't Conan. Schwarzenegger wasn't Red Sonja. He wasn't Conan. He was a different character.
No kidding. I always thought it was Conan.
That's a big misconception.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard.
Learn something every day. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, surprise, surprise, from Hasbro Pulse, the gift everybody wanted, a talking Deadpool head.
Expletives. Will he be cursing or? And will it be Ryan Reynolds' voice? No,
probably not. It's gonna be. It's gonna be a family thing.
Okay.
But apparently, so if you get the app, you can interact with your own talking Deadpool head.
This is kind of like the Furbies of the new generation.
Yeah, right. Or when Playmates did it a while back for the Ninja Turtles. Talking Michelangelo. So yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what to make of it. I mean, I love Deadpool, but I just don't need a head that doesn't even sound like Ryan Reynolds talking to me.
You don't need. You just want a severed head like hanging around, right?
Right.
And it's just kind of in the middle of the night goes off.
Yeah, right.
And every other Smurfs.
That'd be awesome. Nickelodeon has
back.
picked up the license. Yeah, Nickelodeon has picked up the license for Smurfs, and the new CGI series will be sometime next year.
And this is interesting because when I was a kid, the Smurfs were friggin' huge. It was a cartoon.
Oh yeah,
I always thought they were
on NBC.
Yeah, I always thought they were created in the 80s, but apparently it goes back to the 50s by a Belgian guy named Peyo. Peyo, I'm probably pronouncing it
Hey,
incorrectly. But
yeah, hey, did you ever see the movie The Smurfs and the Golden Flute?
I did not.
The Golden Flute? The Magic Flute, excuse me. That
I
was my first introduction to the Smurfs. That apparently that was how they originally wanted to interpret the Smurfs. Then when it came over to America, they basically changed some things
Hmm.
and
That's
and
typical.
put it on channel and put it on Saturday morning.
No, I always.
But yeah, they were on for like 10 seasons.
Oh yeah, and the toy line was just nuts. The little figurines, and there was villages and just Smurf upon Smurf, like just all
Yeah.
different things. I remember my wife and I were dating. She had a ton of them, and this is before eBay.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
how
yeah.
far back this goes. So this is before eBay, when you had a message board, and she put them up there to sell, and a guy from Japan bought her Smurf collection for $400 and wanted it shipped
Wow.
by boat to Japan, and that was back in like early 2000s. So I met her in '97. It might have been late '90s, but yeah, Smurf collectors are huge still to this day. There's tons of websites.
Really?
Yeah, so it's amazing to see that. It's amazing to see these little guys last so long.
That could be your next Toyline article.
That could be the history of the Smurfs is pretty interesting. It's very Smurfy. I would like to
I wonder
say
if there's is there a Smurf convention?
I wouldn't be
Or a
surprised.
Smurf gathering?
I know there was something
Huh.
recently. I'm going to say the past year where they were. I forget what country. I know it was in Europe where they did a Guinness Book of World Record thing where it was like the most people dressed as the Smurfs. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm sure if you just look it up on the internet, you folks can find it. But overseas, like the Smurfs are very popular. Still, like Asterix, the Viking, that comic strip is still
Mhm.
popular. Tintin, even Tintin was a great movie, by the way, but it didn't really take off here in the States, but it's huge overseas. So yeah, Smurfs is just it's still going strong. And it looks like it always will be, maybe.
Nice.
I would like to just mention how in the past week Ian Holm died. Ian Holm is, of course, two Tolkien fans, Bilbo Baggins from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and she also replayed him for the Hobbit movie. One thing, and he's been a ton of other things. I mean, he was one of the voices in Ratatouille. His career is just so long, but in the 80s, there was a radio drama or a radio adaptation of Lord of the Rings that Ian Holm played Frodo the Hobbit in it. So he played a Hobbit twice. I believe he was 88 and died
wow.
of Parkinson's. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Great actor passing away.
Yeah. No, Joel Schumacher just died too.
Joel Schumacher
Age
died?
80.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
When
this
did-
morning.
this morning?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to say...
Now, other than Batman and Robin, he's actually a very good and talented filmmaker.
Let's go with Batman Forever too. Other than those two, he is a good filmmaker. The Lost Boys is an excellent movie. Falling Down,
Yeah. Phone
excellent
booth.
movie. Yeah, DC Cab. If you go way back to the 80s,
Oh yeah.
Schumacher, he was a good director, and I mean, the original plot for Lost Boys dealt with little children, and it was his idea to make them like teenage punkers, and that's an 80s
Uh-huh.
staple. That film. I mean, I love that movie. My wife loves that
Yeah.
movie. So yeah, Schumacher, I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves because of the two Batman films. Batman Forever was very successful when it came out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
But I feel like that overshadows all his accomplishments, which is a shame. And I did not know he died. That's what did he die?
Yeah,
of?
80.
80 years old. Wow.
That yeah, I didn't catch that. But
I
yeah.
didn't know that. That's a shock to me today.
Yeah.
There was a recent tweet from Stephen King about a book he has in mind for Jason Voorhees. Most likely, he's never going to write it because apparently there's a lot of rights tangled up with the first movie and the character and this and that. The book he wants to write is called I, Jason, and it's told from Jason's point of view of how he keeps dying and come back to life, which I actually think would be a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
Stephen King, of course, like you don't need to explain even who the man is. Maybe they'll hearing this, maybe those people with the rights will make it. But it actually kind of reminds me back before Peter Jackson did The Lord of the Rings. He was in talks. Well, he wrote a script for New Line Cinema for Freddy Krueger. I believe it was for the 6th movie, and it was going to be that Freddy has basically lost his power over children when they go to sleep, and they go to sleep, I guess, basically just to mess with him, just to not afraid of him. And the movie was going to take place mostly in Freddy's world. Of course, the movie never came to be, but I heard that the script was pretty good. Jackson, of course, went on to make Lord of the Rings and, King Kong and so on and so forth. And Freddy went his other ways. But it kind of makes you think, if that Peter Jackson script, if this Stephen King book ever came out, it would be a pretty cool concept.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big Stephen King fan.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Stand By Me.
Right.
Basically, that was just a short story.
Yes, it was The Body.
But
I'm sure you like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, that's
movie.
right. Yep, Shawshank.
And one more.
Maximum Overdrive. That's the other one.
That's a great movie. That's a short story. I believe it's called Trucks. There, some of his short stories were excellent. And then there was, of course, what was one with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, I like those.
Where the prison guard and
Green Mile.
Yes, Green Mile was very good. I think Frank Darabont had something to do with that.
I kind of like his short story. Now I think about it, I liked his short stories more than I like his full novels. I was never a fan of.
If you're going to want to read good short stories, you can pick up, I believe it's called Different Seasons or Four Seasons, and that's where The Body is. It's also where Apt Pupil came from, which I believe Bryan Singer directed, and that had Ian McKellen in it.
Yeah.
There's two other stories. The third one, I'm drawing a blank. The fourth one, called The Breathing Method. That is a weird story. I don't think they could make that into a movie. I'm just going to leave it at that for those of you who read it. But his short stories are very interesting, and how he'll connect them into his books. The Stand, which is one of his popular books, there's a short story in it. I think it was either called Captain Trips. This is going back years ago when I read it. But he's I think people either like him or they don't. But that's kind of like any series, any author. You can get into their work or you don't. But
yeah. I mean, I was never really a big horror guy.
I
like Scream. I mean, if the big Jason versus Freddy debate, I like Jason.
Really? See,
to be honest with you, I don't even know why. To be honest with you, I just a guy stalking kids and in a lake somewhere. So
I was gonna go with Freddy, but to bring it back to Jason does hail from New Jersey in a way. They filmed the first Friday the 13th at Camp Novi Bosco in New Jersey, which was it was a Boy Scout camp at the time. Boy Scouts are now no longer, but when I was a kid, we went camping there for one night, and there's all this energy surrounding Friday the 13th being filmed there, and my brother used to go camping there a lot.
Oh wow!
The camp is still there. I don't know what's going on with it, but Camp Novi Bosco. Friday the 13th. The town that they filmed it in, I know there's a museum there. I can't think of the name of the town off the top of my head, but yeah, I kind of prefer the old black and white Universal classic monsters myself. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, I love.
Oh yeah.
Dracula, Boris Karloff as Frankenstein. I kind of got out of that horror phase. My brother and sister still like it. I kind of like the more older stuff, but to each his own.
Yeah.
So, was there anything actually else? Oh, yeah. Was there anything else that you had in mind?
No.
There was one other thing.
So, okay.
There's a comic strip. I don't know if anybody's read it or not. It's called Phoebe and the Unicorn. It's by Dana Simpson. It's a newspaper strip for those of you who still read newspapers. It's actually a cute comic. It's about, I think she's a 9-year-old girl and she has a friend who's a unicorn. And Nickelodeon actually picked that up as well to be a movie and an animated movie, and I believe a series. There's about 12 books of the comic strip out right now. You can find in your local bookstore, or just check probably Dana Simpson's website, or just type in Phoebe and the Unicorn, and it's a cute comic book. It's a cute comic strip. It's it's along the lines of like a Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes, something like that. It's not one of the ones that are, when you're a kid, you don't want to read Prince Valiant. You want to read Snoopy. You want to read Hagar, maybe. That's what I read at least. But yeah, so that's just that came over, I believe the weekend they announced that. So that's Nickelodeon seems busy with the Smurfs and now this. So
yeah, good for them. Although I don't know, a couple of people have told me that the Turtles have been saving Nickelodeon for a while now. So
I just hope
that's good that they're picking stuff up.
Yeah. Nickelodeon was just a great channel as a kid. When I think first came on, I remember watching that show.
The original,
the original shows, Salute Your Shorts, Pete and Pete, filmed in New Jersey. So the Nickelodeon goes way back. But
you mentioned you can't do that on TV.
You can't do that on television.
That was my favorite.
Oh my lord! You say I don't know, and you would say I don't know. You get slimed. You say water. You get water dumped on you. Alanis Morissette was in that show. Which is funny. Yeah, and actually there was a show that aired on Nickelodeon in the U.S. It was called 15. In Canada, it had a different name. However, Ryan Reynolds was in that show. Very young Ryan Reynolds, probably 12 or 13. And it's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch that show because it was your standard Degrassi wannabe show. But he went from being this young child actor to this extremely talented actor. I mean, he's great pretty much in anything he does. And his Deadpool, he's excellent in that movie. And I was thinking of that movie. Was it Just Friends? Have you seen a movie?
Yes.
I mean, he's just
him and Amy Smart.
Yeah, the guy who played Jimmy Olsen from Superman Returns plays his brother. Somebody's in that movie. Maybe it's from Fanboys, but Ryan Reynolds is just extremely talented. And it's kind of cool to see where where he came from. Looking back, this is where he was. Now look at him now. He's this big popular star. That's kind of cool. It's really neat.
Yeah.
So
okay, kids, that wraps it up for Toyland's podcast. You have anything to add, Ian?
No, I think we got a couple of shout outs. Thank yous we'd like to make. I'd like to thank Brian Salvatore, who does our theme song, which is called Some Assembly Required. I hope you guys like the song.
Very talented.
Yes, I hope you like the song. It's when I first heard it, when I asked him to make it, it was just like dude, you got exactly what I wanted. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
Anybody for you?
Oh yeah, a few people. Believe it or not, Ming Chen of Comic Book Men fame. I actually took his podcasting class, and
Cool.
he was very helpful. Yeah, really helpful in establishing this. And also shout out to my buddy Rob McCallan of Pyre Productions.
Now he's
And
documentarian, isn't he?
he is. He's one of the best. He did Masters of the Universe,
That was
Missing
excellent.
Mom. Yes, his own personal documentary. How he finds his mother. I mean, that's incredible. Him and his wife have a podcast, so Mouthcast. So if you're looking for, a good couple relationship, pop culture podcast, Mouthcast is excellent.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it.
Listen to it with your girlfriend or your wife or your boyfriend, whoever you're with.
Oh yeah,
You know.
yep. And then he also has Action Figure Adventure coming out, which hopefully we'll discuss once it's closer to release.
Okay, cool.
So hopefully we can get him on the show.
Yeah.
So thank you. Give us a try, and next week we'll get the email. I don't have it on me, so
and
it'll
start
just be us again. But
thinking of any toys you'd like to hear about. Any questions you might want to know about Tom or I, or about toy lines in general. Tommy literally is the master of the Masters of the Universe. So any He-Man questions, I would say direct to him. Any He-Man questions directed to me, I'm going to direct to him because I constantly have to remind myself things about He-Man. But yeah.
And then hopefully we'll have some more themes to discuss. So
I'm sure
everyone be safe.
Be safe. Wear a mask. Careful out there. And we'll talk to you next week.
Play with your toys.
That's
Take
right.
care.
Bye.